Hey, what's up guys? This is Tariq from smartbiketrainers.com. At Interbike, I had a chance to meet with the guys behind STAC. If you're not familiar with that company, this is a company that started through a Kickstarter campaign and created the STAC Zero trainer, possibly the quietest trainer on the market. Last year at Interbike in Las Vegas, they invited me to take a look at STAC Zero Smart Trainer. It's called the Halcyon now. It was a pre-production model at that time. By now they are shipping it to consumer, and I should have one in the next few days for review. But for now, this is my chat with them. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Today we got the founders and the brain behind the STAC Zero, and we're going to talk about the new STAC Zero Smart Trainer today, the Halcyon. And so Andrew, it's been a year since we've met, and the last time we've talked, you guys were still working on the smart trainer. So can you tell me a little bit about what happened from that time until now and how things are developing?
Well, it's been a very busy year. So the last time you saw us, it was basically a bundle of wires on the floor. It didn't look very pretty. It had the basic functionality, but it didn't have a lot of the polish. So we've refined the design. We've made it much more pleasant to look at, but we've also made it more effective. So we've now got the full smart trainer capability, so we can do erg mode or sim mode or anything else that you would expect in a smart trainer. But we also have some really neat features, like it's fully battery powered, very portable. It's probably, as far as I know, one of the lightest smart trainers on the market, and it's like we've had a lot of really good comments from our customers. We did a pre-order earlier this year. It was extremely popular, and we're just kind of taking that next step forward. So Interbike is our first opportunity to really show it off to the North American market and get the word out there.
So when we talked, you told me you got the idea from a roller coaster.
Yes. That's right. I'm surprised you remember that.
Yeah, no, that's I love roller coasters, and I'm sure a lot of the audience love roller coasters. And I live by Cedar Point.
Okay, yeah.
So I will never forget that.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the one ride that kind of inspired this was Drop Tower or Drop Zone in Canada's Wonderland, and you've got a carriage that's about 100 meters high, and it drops down at about 100 kilometers an hour, and it comes to a stop in 30 meters, something like that, and it's all by non-contact braking. It's all by eddy current braking. So I thought this is pretty cool that this can stop something that heavy moving that quickly without touching anything at all. So I was just sitting there watching it, and then I thought, I wonder if there's kind of a neat application for this. I didn't really know what I had in mind, but I thought there's something there, got to figure it out. So after I got home, I talked to Art, and we basically came up with the idea of this would be a really good way to essentially waste energy, which is all a bike trainer does. It's turning mechanical energy into heat. And we did that with our first version of the STAC Zero. So we had a Kickstarter launch, and that was 2 years ago, 2016. And then we've grown from there. And then the common question was, this is cool, but when's the smart trainer coming out? Everyone wants the smart trainer. Everyone wants to ride online and have that interactive experience. So the next step was just making it so that it could manipulate resistance and provide something that was really immersive and interactive. And I feel like we've done a very good job at getting to that point, and it's amazing to ride. I really enjoy it. Biased opinion, but I think a lot of our customers would agree as well.
So you guys do claim on your website that it is the quietest trainer on the market. Yeah. Why do you think it is? Like compared to the new trainer like Tax or the Kicker, and there's a lot of quiet trainer now. Why do you think this one is the quietest trainer out there?
Well, looking at the actual mechanism here, the only thing that really generates noise is your drivetrain. The spokes create a little bit of aerodynamic noise, but it's dominated by your drivetrain noise. If you have any other wheel off or wheel on trainer, you will have that drivetrain noise, but there's also internal mechanical noise that's not zero. So it's something that's contributing additionally to noise. And they are getting quite good, but we still have a leg up in terms of how quiet it is. There's nothing else that's generated. The actuators make a small amount of a noise when they're initially adjusting, but it's far below the actual baseline level of noise from the drivetrain. So I don't think it's possible to make something quieter than this.
So what about accuracy? I think last year you guys were talking about 1 to 2% accuracy. Is that still the case with after the production unit is out?
Yeah, and we've actually been discussing this with some of the power meter manufacturers. There's not really any standard measurement technique, and I believe Four Eyes is going to be doing a presentation about this tomorrow about standardization. But one of the things that really differentiates us is we're measuring a very simple force. So when you're measuring something off a hub or a crank arm, you've got a very complex force where if you're pushing in different directions with your foot, it can influence the force that's being measured. With us, it's just in one direction. It's always tangential to the wheel, so it's very simple to measure, and we get a very accurate, stable signal from that. And as a result, it's we feel it's one of the most accurate on the market.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the specs of the Halcyon? What's the max grade and power output and things like that?
I'll leave this one to Art since he does all the programming for it.
So max grade should be about 7%. Max power output is about 2,000 watts. It keeps going up the faster your wheel goes, so if you have a higher gearing, then you're going to have a greater maximum power output that the trainer can do, but it should be about 2,000 watts at 72 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles an hour.
Battery life?
Battery life is 10 hours. It weighs 10 or 11 kilograms, which means it's really easy to just pick up. It folds flat, so when you're carrying it around, it doesn't bunk into your leg, and it's really easy to put down flat in the car. What other kind of specs are there? It does talk over ANT Plus FEC as well as Bluetooth FTMS, so we have been very happily riding with Trainer Road and Zwift and Sufferfest and Ruby and all the other training apps to make sure it's nice and well-rounded when it comes to app connectivity.
Can you tell me a little bit about the flywheel? Seems to be there's some weights attached to these spokes. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is our current edition of the bar weight. It installs in your wheel in two pieces, and you just clip them. You hang one off the hub, and then you bring in the other one. There's two holes that things go through, and then you just pull them tight. Then there are extra weights on this one, so those are going to be available off our site. All our pre-order customers got some, and those add about another bar weight worth of inertia to your wheels. So because we don't have a mechanical connection to the trainer like most other trainers do, we can't just have a flywheel sitting there, and so this is our flywheel within the wheel.
And how easy is it to put this thing together?
The office record for putting in a bar weight is about 30 seconds. For most users, after your first couple times where you're just learning the process, it should be about a minute.
So for current user of the STAC Zero, they're able to upgrade the mechanics of it to make it smart. That's correct?
That is correct.
How much is the trainer?
So the full trainer itself is $799.99 US, with about $30 shipping. The upgrade kit is about $450 US, and just bolt. So you bolt it on. You can see two bolts on the camera side of the trainer there. And then there's a small alignment process you have to go through to make sure that you get maximum performance out of the trainer. So it should take about half an hour for an existing STAC Zero user to upgrade to full smart.
Now, one thing to note here, the wheel has to be aluminum wheel. So if someone has a carbon wheel, can they use the trainer?
Generally speaking, if it's a full carbon wheel, it's not compatible. So unfortunately, we wish it would be, but it's just the physics that we rely on. If you have an aluminum brake track on a carbon wheel, that has some compatibility, but you don't get quite as much top-end resistance just because we rely on a lot of aluminum being there. So the more aluminum you have, the more resistance, which actually generally equates to a cheaper wheel. So it's possible to get a fairly inexpensive wheel for training use, and you don't even need to put a tire on it or anything. And some of our customers have just done that if they have full carbon wheels.
Okay, so do you notice a loss in power or accuracy as well when you put a carbon wheel with an aluminum track, like one of the flow wheels, for example, or head wheels?
No, it shouldn't affect accuracy at all. So we rely on the reaction force. So it doesn't really matter what's interacting, it's just how much force is applied to the magnets. We measure that force, so it compensates for any kind of wheel construction or geometry that you have in there.
I heard you guys talk about an app.
Yep.
So the trainer come with an app, and what can the user do with an app? Can they use it solely to just operate the trainer, or?
Yeah, so the app's fairly basic at this point in time, though we do intend on making it a bit more complete as time goes on. Right now you can set it to a given erg setting, so you can change the target wattage. You can put it in kind of a dumb trainer mode and just set magnet distance from the wheel. There are a bunch of options that you can do, so we find that our erg transition speed is quite high. So sometimes if you go from 100 watts to 400 watts instantly, that can be a bit uncomfortable. So we have a variety of tweaks you can make to your trainer to make it just the way you like it. So you can slow down the erg transition rate. We found that there's a bunch of apps that send their erg commands a little bit early or late. And so you can actually adjust, you can make the trainer delay an incoming erg command. So for example, Trainer Road usually sends its commands about 2 seconds early. So that can really hurt at the end of an interval when suddenly it drops to your rest interval 2 seconds before the interval's done. So it lets you say, oh, if you get an erg command down, you can actually delay that 2 seconds so that it ensures that you complete your interval.
Finally, if somebody wants to order one, where can they order it?
So they can go right to our website, www.stackzero.com, and they can kind of follow through on our website. So we've got the options of this trainer as well as a base and power meter trainer as well, and some accessories.
All right, well, that's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.